What's up, boxing fans? We're breaking down Ward Kovalev 2. Let's get to it.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Nice. Look at the lighting, too. That's production right there. What's up, people? If you're listening, you won't know what I'm talking about, but our lovely producer is just flashing the lights here in the studio to the nice Deftones beat you hear every time we talk about boxing. Lovely Deftones instrumental. I'm Jared Gilkerson. That's at Gilkerson Radio on Twitter. Of course, you're listening to the AfterBuzz podcast on boxing, everything boxing, and we're breaking down Andre Ward versus Sergey Kovalev 2. You can find us on YouTube and iTunes and SoundCloud. Download us, rate us, subscribe to us. Join me live in the chat right now. If I actually get my iPad to work, then I'll join you in the chat here shortly. But join us here on YouTube. I've tweeted out the links. AfterBuzz has tweeted out the links. And so you can join us in the chat. If you've got any opinions of last night's Andre Ward, Sergey Kovalev rematch, let's just get right into it and not waste any more time. If I had one word to describe my reaction from last night's main event, it would be unsettling. It's odd. I've listened to the great guys at HBO Boxing Podcast, Kieran Mulvaney and Eric Raskin, break down the fight, and they've given Andre Ward a lot of props, and I'm not going to take anything away from Andre Ward. I'm not, because last night, and I also hate to jump on the refs, but it's we have to. So let's break it down. So last night, Andre Ward defeats Sergey Kovalev by KO, body shot, in quotations, in the 8th round, and referee Tony Weeks stopped the fight. But there's some drama. But we'll step back a bit, and I'll let you know how I had it scored. So at the moment of the stoppage, so through 7 rounds, I had it 68-66 for Sergey Kovalev. That's 1 round even. It was a pretty even fight. Sergey's jab was working. Andre's jab was working. Both guys actually doing some decent body work. Really, really close rounds to score. I mean, you could almost go an even round the first half of every round. I mean, it's that close. I think it was Eric Raskin from HBO that said round 4 was finally the first round that didn't seem like a 10-10 round. But the changing blow of the fight was Andre Ward's impressive right hand to Sergey Kovalev's chin, followed up with some just unreal body shots that Sergey believed were low. Sergey believed some of those were low blows. Referee Tony Weeks did, I forget what round it was, maybe round 2, did call a low blow on Andre Ward that actually looked borderline. But like an umpire in baseball, once you have your strike zone, you have your strike zone. So Sergey got hit similarly in the same spot, was looking for a low blow delay and didn't get it in the 8th round, and those body shots took a toll. And referee Tony Weeks stopped the fight in the 8th round while Sergey took a after looking at video evidence was definitely a low blow, and he was sitting on the ropes, and the referee stopped the fight. Now let's give Andre Ward some props. Andre Ward has found a way to just be undefeated ever since I believe he was 12 years old. He always finds a way to win. Doesn't mean there's lack of any, there's always seems to be drama the last few fights. But I've never seen anyone take it to Sergey Kovalev quite like that and actually get him shaky on his legs and really beat him down. And that's really impressive. Andre Ward is a supreme talent, one of the best pound-for-pound boxers in the world, if not the best, with some other names like Vasyl Lomachenko. But here's where I'm going to start to gripe a little bit. I believe that the early stoppage doesn't help either fighter. You've now got a fighter, Sergey Kovalev, who I'd say 70% of the media and the fans believe he won the first fight. And I would say another large chunk believe that the stoppage was way too early in this fight. So you got Sergey Kovalev, who now has 2 losses on his record, where I'm not sure if he actually deserved to lose either one. And you got Andre Ward, really tough fighter, who got a lot of flack for coming back in the first fight and maybe won on some people's cards. And in this fight, was down on 1 judge's scorecard before the stoppage and up on 2, down on mine, down on Harold Letterman's scorecard, HBO's unofficial score. And now, after this fight, he's going to hear it again. Oh, you didn't really beat Kovalev. Oh, you had to resort to low blows. Oh, so now we have 2 fights of the best light heavyweights. And in my mind, nothing has been settled. And I have to go back to referee Tony Weeks. We've got someone in the chat. It's Claw Lobos. What's up, Claw? Claw says, Andre folded Sergey like a wallet and put him in a back pocket. Money in the bank. So there's a fan joining us in the chat that believes that Andre just destroyed Sergey, and he did. He did fold him up like a wallet. It was impressive, but what's concerning to me, and if we go back to the 8th round, let's join us. If you watch the fight, join me here. Andre really did have Sergey on shaky legs, and then those body shots were legit in the middle of the ring. But once Sergey went to the ropes and it was holding on, because there's about 30 seconds left in the round, Andre hit him with 1, maybe 2, but 1 definitive low blow that ended the fight. And the last time I checked, when a fighter is hurt and sitting on the ropes and the ropes are keeping him up, that should be ruled a knockdown. So if referee Tony Weeks doesn't think it's a low blow, Sergey Kovalev still should have got an 8 count. There would have been 20 seconds left in the round, and maybe he survives the rest of the round. Then you get a minute break in between the rounds. I'm not sure Sergey would have had the stamina to continue, but we don't know, and he wasn't given that chance. And he's a champion, a former champion, I think should be given a chance. But I believe the way that it should have been scored was, it was definitely a low blow. Andre had a low blow earlier in the fight and was warned. So to me, it's not a knockdown, because you can't get a knockdown on a low blow. Kovalev should have had 5 minutes to recover, and then you're talking a completely different fight. The stoppage was just way too early. And I'm unfulfilled after watching last night's fights, and we'll get to some of the undercards briefly. But the referees have to be better. I mean, it's one of the toughest jobs in sports is to be a boxing referee or a fight referee. But they need to be better. There's no excuse. And we'll step right into it. Really quickly, the undercard, Guillermo Rigondeaux, KO round 1, definitely hit Moises Flores after the bell. Clearly after the bell. HBO played the replay a ton. And referee Vic Draculich, who's been around for a long time, looked completely confused, calling on the Nevada Athletic Commission and not knowing what to call, and he had his microphone on, and it was just this weird scene, and he didn't know what to call. Well, you need to take control in that situation and say, I definitely think he hit him after the bell, and it's a DQ. So there was really weird refereeing in that fight. And then we get to this fight with another veteran referee, and he sees Sergey doubled over. But you got to see that that's a low blow, and you got to see that at least if you don't think it's a low blow, he's sitting on the ropes, and that's a knockdown. Either way, I would have scored that round a 9-9 round, because you got to deduct the point for Ward for the low blow, and you have to say he won the round, because he definitely beat up Kovalev badly. So on my scorecard after that round, I still have Kovalev up 2 points, because it's not a knockdown. So we have 4 rounds left. Kovalev a 2-point advantage. You're telling me he's got to win. He's got to win one more round, and he's got a good chance of winning the fight. Maybe he does, especially after the 5-minute rest period. And let's say you think that, okay, it wasn't a low blow, legit shot, fine. I don't know what camera you're looking at, but it's at least a knockdown and an 8 count, and maybe he gets out of the round, and then you're talking a 1-point fight with 4 rounds to go. Still a close fight. We got more people joining in the chat here. Claw Lobo saying, first time seeing Sergey hurt. Sergey had his shorts up past navel. Weeks warned him before the fight. Now, if you do, Claw makes a good point. If you do watch the fight, Weeks does point at where a legal blow could be landed. And he actually points at the white on his shorts. The white. Andre Ward's glove, his punch, hit him in the black part of the shorts, actually on the lettering, the sponsorship lettering he had, which is way low. Way low. The consistency is what I want. I want some consistency. Tony Weeks called a low blow in the first or second round that wasn't, and then misses one that's obvious. And then you've got Vic Draculich doing God knows what, looking confused and befuddled and not knowing how to call his own fight. And the whole night just seemed very unsettling, and it's just, I'm unfulfilled from these matches. We have someone else joining us in the chat. The second and last. The second and last says, "What's this?" This is the Boxing After Show at AfterBuzz TV. Welcome. What did you think of the fight last night? How'd you have it scored before the stoppage? Thanks for joining us. I've done all the, it's not an excuse for Sergey Kovalev. You see Sergey in the post-fight interview with Max. Sergey actually seemed a little out of it still, a little shaky, because when he seemed a little just kind of disappointed. And then once they showed him the replay, it was almost like something clicked in his brain, and it was a low blow. What the hell? Let's do something about this. And now Kathy Duva is filing a grievance and with the Nevada Athletic State, Commission and Sports Commission, that is, pardon. So it's a mess right now because you've got one boxer who feels like he was screwed by the judges in the first fight. I had the first fight 116-111. I think he was screwed. And then now you've got now he feels like he's screwed by the referee in this fight. And I don't know about screwed. That might be a little too harsh of a term, but I do feel like he wasn't given the time he should have, either on a knockdown or a low blow. And I felt like it was stopped way too early. And that's not just bad for Sergey Kovalev, because Andre Ward's a great fighter, and he really took it to Sergey. And to now kind of taint his victory with, it was a low blow. And, he had him on shaky legs. Maybe he takes him out later in the round or in the 9th. But he wasn't given that chance. So now you cut his momentum short and the praise I would have had for him. So... And boxing fans around. So that's why I think you're still going to see a lot of boxing fans reluctant to put him number one pound for pound. And you're going to see a lot of boxing fans that continue to not like Andre Ward. And I was talking to my good friend Johnny last night, who watched the pay-per-view with me, and we're trying to figure out why Andre Ward doesn't resonate with fans. And he's an American fighter who hasn't lost since he was 12, Olympic champion. The guy's on top of it. And I was trying to figure it out. Some guys just don't resonate, and he was on top of the world after the Super 6 tournament and some big wins back in, I think, 2010, 2011. On the top of his game, he disappears for 2 years. He had management problems, but you can't be gone from boxing for 2 years and expect to keep your fans. You just can't. And he gives off, in my opinion, kind of a phony aura. And I don't know, I can't hold it against him, but he just gives off this persona of like, I have to be cocky and confident because that's how boxers are, and I'm going to spew a lot of BS. Like, it's not cocky to the point of, hey, I'm going to kick your ass like Kovalev. Kovalev's a jerk, has been known to say sexist and racist things in the past, but he doesn't apologize for him. He is the way he is, and it's almost more admirable to be a jerk and honest about it than a nice guy and have the fans feel like you're just being a little phony. And he's a great fighter. I just hope he gets a few more chances here. We're going to talk about what's next for each fighter. I hope he gets a few more chances on the big stage, because there's not many more people around him at his weight, below or above. It's going to be hard to make some marquee matchups. So I would love to see Andre Ward versus Sergey Kovalev 3. You're not going to see it. Claw Lobos in the chat room. Yeah, weird night, but Sergey was fading. Agreed, Claw. I agree. Sergey was fading. But you have to give him the benefit of the doubt that that was a clear low blow shot, and you can't call a fight when he's sitting on the ropes. At the very least, you have to say it was a knockdown, give him an 8 count. Maybe he lasted the end of the round, gets a minute in between rounds. Hey, he's up by points on another judge's scorecard. We saw the other 2 judges, he would have been down even further, 10-8, if it was a knockdown. So he maybe would have had a hill to climb. But you can't let that, you can't stop Andre either. It hurts Andre. Like, you got to let Andre just keep clubbing away on the guy. So it's unsettling. You can't let it just sit there. So let's move on. A crazy night, like I was saying, with also Vic Draculich, the referee in the Guillermo Rigondeaux fight. If you haven't seen that, strange fight. Guillermo Rigondeaux has been known as, people call him a boring fighter, not fun to watch. And he was just kind of waiting for his time to attack Moises Flores. And in the last 5 seconds of the round, he just grabs Flores behind the head and hits him with illegal blows. And then a second after the bell rings, and then is awarded the KO. Now, I think Moises Flores, I have to credit, I think it was Kieran Mulvaney on HBO's boxing podcast, said that he was putting it on a little bit when he got hit late. And I thought he was legitimately knocked out, but then watching the replay, it looks like he kind of wanted out of the fight. So who knows? But it's still an illegal blow that wasn't called. That took 20 minutes to decide, which is just, it's ridiculous. So moving on to what's next for these guys. Oh, another person joining the chat room, Zane's World. Sergey should move up to cruiserweight. Tell me your thoughts. That's an interesting idea. Cruiserweight is an odd. It's really an odd division. It's light heavyweights had its stars, heavyweights have had their stars, but cruiserweight, not a lot of stars. A few times in the 80s with Holyfield and Kawi. And there's other guys that have jumped up through there, but a lot of guys skip cruiserweight altogether just to get those heavyweight belts or a challenge. Because there's just not a lot of big names at cruiserweight. So, Zane's World, who would you like to see Sergey fight at cruiserweight? That's an interesting idea. I'm going to jump in to hear what I think Sergey could do next. Sergey against anyone in the top 10 in light heavyweight division. Alvarez, Beterbiev, is it Beterbiev? I forget how to pronounce his name. Vodsky, and I like Joe Smith. And I think if you're HBO, I think you could sell that fight. Joe Smith just knocked Bernard Hopkins into retirement, knocked him on the ring, knocked him on his head. I know it was a 50-year-old Bernard Hopkins, but it was impressive. Not many people do that to Bernard. And, he's a young American fighter who fans might like to watch. Now, Sergey might not want to fight in America, but there's plenty of Russians in the top 10 he could fight in Russia. But I really think HBO would have a really good card with Sergey Kovalev versus Joe Smith. There's no politics there. Both HBO fighters recently. I would love to see that fight. So as for Andre Ward, I think Showtime and HBO have to make something happen for Ward and Stevenson. Adonis Stevenson, the guy is been ducking any challenge for years, hiding in Montreal, hiding on Showtime, 39 years old. I think the guy's got some real good pop, but his management is just terrible. Andre Ward wins and he says, yeah, I'll fight Stevenson, and Stevenson wins and just says, I'm the king. Well, I don't understand why you're the king. You fought Fonfara twice, and what else have you done? So I really think Stevenson actually is a good fighter, but he's just wasting his time. I think maybe Showtime and HBO could do a split with him and Ward. I'm not sure how well it would sell. They probably want to make a pay-per-view out of it. But Stevenson's been running from any sort of challenge for a long time. So Ward, Stevenson, and honestly, if Stevenson now wants to jump on fighting Kovalev because maybe he thinks Kovalev's got some weaknesses, oh my God, Adonis Stevenson versus Sergey Kovalev. That would be a tremendous fight. We're joined in the chat by AntKit78. Says, it was not low blow. His trunks was really high. So looked like a low blow, but I hate people to criticize SOG, that's Andre Ward, about the low blows, but Kovalev was dirty the whole night. Ant Kid, I'd like to explain how Kovalev was dirty the whole night. I didn't see anything dirty from Kovalev the whole night. No low blows, no elbowing, no headbutts. Where's the dirtiness? Explain. I thought it was a really competitive, good fight. I was really hoping for 4 more rounds of it. We didn't get it. That's it. That's the fights last night. And so, as you can tell, I'm a little unsettled by it. I can't wait for the next big card because there's plenty of them coming up. A lot of good fights in July. The ridiculousness. We can break this down later. We've got Mayweather versus McGregor in August. By the way, Miguel Cotto fights that same night. And of course, Triple G versus Canelo in September. We'll break those all down, preview those. Let's jump into one of my favorite segments of the show. 1 second, actually. Keep the chat coming. It's from YTBC in the chat. He says, Kovalev is a crybaby. Kovalev was headlocking. The headlocks, I don't know if he was headlocking. Andre Ward likes to hold and also likes to duck his head inside. I think Andre a lot of times put himself in that position. And maybe Kovalev was headlocking him a few times. Ward, was holding a lot the first fight. Was holding some here. It gets dirty on the inside. That's boxing. And the headlocking, is probably a fault of both of theirs. Ward dipping his head. Kovalev maybe grabbing it a bit. Both fighters hitting on the inside. Both fighters didn't like each other. I knew there was going to be hitting on the inside because Kovalev was thinking maybe I can steal around this way because last time Ward was holding, I'll try to, hit him on the inside. Ward was hitting rabbit punches on the back of Kovalev's head. They were probably both doing illegal things on the inside. That's just what happens. That's when a referee has to control a situation. So, but watch the tape. It was a low blow, the last punch that put him down. So, really appreciate everyone joining me on the chat here. Keep sending the questions. Get at me on Twitter, at Gilkerson Radio on Twitter. We're going to jump into this day in boxing history. I love it. It's one of my favorite segments of the show. And if I can actually pull up my notes, because, of course, being a really prepared host, I have completely spaced on the fight I put up there, but now I've got it. So this day in boxing, June 18th, 1963, Cassius Clay versus Henry Cooper. If you haven't seen this fight, it's great. We're going to watch a couple different clips here, let them play through. Without further ado, June 18th, 1963, Clay Cooper. Roll that, baby. What's that? Sorry, my producer's talking to my ear. Oh, we got some difficulty. That's okay. Let me know when we're back up. The chat is hot, so we've got people really. I think a lot of people that thought Kovalev was dirty didn't think it was a low blow, and I can also explain what happened in this fight. The Cassius Clay, obviously Muhammad Ali versus Henry Cooper. Henry Cooper is a tough guy, and you'll see that. One of the few times that Cassius Clay gets surprised in the ring, and maybe some shenanigans happened in the corner. Okay, so we're ready to go. So let's roll that tape, baby.
The bell has sounded, and he's up at about 3, Clay. That was the end of the 4th round, and he hit him about 2 seconds before the end of the round with a left hook. Clay took one chance too many, and he still doesn't know where he is. He's still half out, Clay. They're working furiously on him in the corner. Angelo Dundee, his trainer, he really is giving him a talking to. Cooper's left hook finally scores, and Clay was down 2 seconds from the end of the 4th round and got up just after the bell, and he doesn't know where he is. Looking at his corner, and something extraordinary has happened, because referee Tommy Little has gone over to the timekeeper to ask something. Tommy Little has gone to Clay's corner now to talk to them. I think Clay has got a torn glove. Oh no, it seems to be all right.
All right, so you saw some shenanigans there. So Henry Cooper knocks down Cassius Clay, and amazing shot, especially for 1963, where you see the corner of giving Cassius Clay the smelling salts, some confusion in the corner. Then you hear of a ripped glove, which gave them a few, I think 5 or 10 extra seconds in the corner, but Clay went right back out. And then we'll play the very end of the fight here, which ended the very next round, which Ali's prediction.
Tough eye I've seen for a very, very long time indeed. I do not see how he can let this go much further. It's round 5. And now he's slipping in, and I think this is it. The towel has come in from Cooper's corner, and Tommy Little's looking at it. And he's had to stop the fight. There was no alternative. He had to stop the fight, Tommy Little. It's all over in round 5. And Clay is getting bombarded with programs from angry ringsiders. The man who was put down at the end of the 4th round. And Cooper, he's beaten on a cut eye, is far from disgrace.
That's a shame. That was a shame for Henry Cooper there, who really took it to Cassius Clay and knocks him down. Was looking good in the fight, but Henry Cooper was a bleeder, and you also got to give props to Cassius Clay for coming through on his prediction. KO or stoppage there in round 5 because of the cuts. They fought twice. Henry Cooper was game and one of Cassius Clay / Muhammad Ali's best opponents ever. So that fight's on YouTube. Check it out. Not a long one, doesn't even go 5 rounds. And then check out the rematch as well. Those two had a nice little rivalry, kind of before Clay became this icon. Muhammad Ali was on his rise to stardom there. So check that fight out. And more people joining the chat here. Just before we go off the air, who's this saying? We've got a nice chat here. Ant Kit saying, who at cruiserweight that's good besides Bellu? I think he means Bellu. I don't know. Cruiserweight's kind of an odd world. And then you've got Zane's World saying Usyk and Lebedev. Those fighters are good. Maybe you could even have a fight in Russia because Sergey's probably sick of the States at this point. Zane's World also saying once he has won a title at cruiser, then possibly third fight with Ward. There could be a third fight there. Interesting that Virgil Hunter, Andre Ward's trainer, said that they want to they want to take it to Anthony Joshua, who's now the heavyweight champion, and by the way, 250 pounds. That could be a freak show of a match. One that I would pay for if Andre Ward could fight at 210 pounds. It looked like Andre was a bit drained last night, so I think Andre can weigh more, but heavyweight's a way big of a stretch. But hey, Roy Jones did it. But then again, Roy Jones beat John Ruiz. A little bit easier of a task, and not a guy who's 6'6", Anthony Joshua. So, but Andre Ward has surprised everybody for years. Great fighter. He deserves the praise. I just wish he would have been given the full amount of time last night. And I think we need to see better refereeing. I think we need to see something in place. If something as obvious as a late shot in the Rigondeaux fight or something as obvious as a low blow in this fight, I think we have enough technology where someone could maybe step in. You can't have full instant replay in boxing. It's impossible to do that. But maybe something like that, you can have some kind of, someone that can speak up right away and let the fans enjoy another round or 2 or 4. So maybe we'll get a third fight with these guys. Maybe not. And maybe Adonis Stevenson will stop running from Andre Ward or anyone who's good. I believe the next time I'm with you will be in July. It might be for the, I think it's Takashi Miura versus Burchelt fight out here in Los Angeles at the Forum. I think we might even be going to the Forum for that fight. So I'll be tweeting rapidly if I'm sitting ringside the Forum. Maybe sitting ringside next to my good friend Kieran Mulvaney, who from HBO Boxing, HBO Sports, who joined us here for a one-on-one. If you like Kieran and what he did for what he does for HBO, he sat down with me last year for a spotlight on here at AfterBuzz. Great interview, really amazing career arc, and a really intelligent guy. And a cool guy, down-to-earth person. So maybe we can get him back on the show this year. So we'll see what he's up to. They have a great podcast too, and so do we. And it's AfterBuzz TV boxing podcast. Download it on iTunes. Help us out. Get those view counts up. Keep the chat. This is one of the best chats we've had ever for the boxing podcast. Zane's World, speaking up again. Zane, I love it. Last night made boxing look bad again. I think it did look bad last night. I think a lot of times when there are mistakes in boxing, a lot of times it's overblown. You know, Mayweather, Pacquiao, the casual fan, and boxing's dead. Boxing's not dead. Boxing's in a good spot. But this doesn't help. It just doesn't. And you know, when I'm sitting here for a half hour talking about low blows and not who's maybe the best pound per pound fighter, that's bad. So Zane, that's a great point. So I hope you all join me in July for the next big card. Thanks for all the guys in the podcast, guys and gals in the podcast. We've Claw Lobos. We've got the second and last. We've got Zane's World. We've got Ant Kit, YTBC. Thank you all for joining us. I'm Jared Gilkerson. It's at Gilkerson Radio on Twitter. And we're going to put a bow on this show. So until next time, see you later.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Box you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.